Billionaire CEO stormed in with his fiancée. Shocked when he saw his ex receiving graduation degree holding their daughter. The words hit him like a freight train, and Vincent Johnson felt his entire world tilt on its axis. Monica. Monica was here. Monica was walking across the stage in doctoral robes, accepting a diploma that announced to the world she had become a neurosurgeon. And somewhere in the audience, a child was screaming for her mommy. A child with his eyes. Vincent grabbed Monica's arm as she tried to leave the auditorium, his voice cracking with desperation. That child. Tell me I am wrong. Tell me I am seeing things. Monica turned slowly, her gaze cutting through him like a surgical blade. You are not wrong. His knees nearly buckled. Why did you not tell me? For years, Monica. For years. I had a right to know. Monica's laugh was cold, hollow, nothing like the warm sound he remembered from their time together. You had a right. You looked me in the eyes 5 years ago and told me I did not fit into your life. You walked out that door and never looked back. You do not get to talk to me about rights. I would have come back. I would have been there. Would you? Monica stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow cut deeper than any shout could. Would you have left your company expansion? Would you have put my pregnancy above your quarterly reports? Would you have held my hand in the delivery room instead of shaking hands with investors in Singapore? Vincent had no answer. The truth was a stone in his throat. That is what I thought. Monica pulled her arm free. You made your choice 5 years ago, Vincent. Now live with it. She walked away, toward a little girl with amber eyes who was waving frantically from the audience. His eyes. His daughter. His child he never knew existed. And Vincent Johnson, the man who had built a billion-dollar empire on the foundation of always knowing what to do next, stood frozen in the middle of a university auditorium with absolutely no idea how to fix what he had broken. Before I tell you how we got here, before I explain the impossible journey that brought these two people to this devastating moment, I need you to understand something. This is not just a story about heartbreak and hidden children. This is a story about what happens when the person you destroyed comes back more powerful than you ever imagined. It is a story about survival, about transformation, about the terrifying question of whether some wounds can ever truly heal. If you have ever been walked away from, if you have ever built yourself back from nothing, if you have ever wondered whether someone who hurt you deserves a second chance, this story is for you. Now let me take you back. 5 years. Before the graduation. Before the daughter. Before everything shattered. The apartment was small but warm, filled with the evidence of 2 lives trying to merge into one. Medical textbooks stacked on the coffee table next to business journals. A woman's coat hanging next to a man's on the rack by the door. 2 coffee mugs in the sink, still bearing the ghosts of that morning's shared breakfast. Monica Charles stood at the kitchen counter, exhaustion carved into every line of her face. 36 hours into a 48-hour shift at Massachusetts General Hospital, and she had come home only because Vincent had texted saying he needed to talk. Those words never meant anything good. She heard his key in the lock and felt something in her chest tighten. When he walked in, she noticed 3 things immediately. His suitcase was already packed by the door. He would not meet her eyes. And his phone was in his hand, as always, as if the device was an extension of his body he could not function without. Vincent. She kept her voice neutral. What is going on? He finally looked at her, and she saw it. The careful blankness he used in board meetings. The expression that said a decision had already been made and this conversation was just a formality. I have been meaning to talk to you about something. The company is expanding. We have a major opportunity in Singapore, Hong Kong, Tokyo. The Asian markets are ready for what we are building. That sounds amazing. She meant it. She had always believed in his vision, even when she did not fully understand the biomedical technology he was developing. But what does that mean for us? His pause lasted a lifetime. I am relocating. For at least 2 years, probably longer. The operation needs hands-on leadership, and I am the only one who can do it. Monica felt the ground shift beneath her feet. Relocating. You are moving to Asia. It is the opportunity of a lifetime, Mon. If we get this right, Johnson Biomedical becomes a global player. We are talking about technology that could change how hospitals operate worldwide. She heard what he was saying. She also heard what he was not saying. And what about us? What about the plans we made? We talked about getting a place together, about me matching at a hospital in New York so we could be closer to your headquarters. We talked about a future, Vincent. He ran a hand through his hair, the first crack in his composure. Plans change. We both knew this was always going to be complicated. Your career, my career. We were never going to be the couple with the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids. We were going to be something, Monica countered, her voice rising despite her exhaustion. We have been together for 2 years. You said you loved me. Were those just words? Of course I love you. But I also love my company. And right now, the company needs me more. There it was. The brutal arithmetic of his priorities, laid bare. So what are you saying? Long distance. We figure it out. Vincent shook his head slowly, and Monica felt her heart begin to crack. Long distance does not work. We both know that. You have got your residency, your career path. I have got mine. Trying to maintain something across oceans, with our schedules. It would just drag out the inevitable. The inevitable. She repeated the word like it was poison. You are saying we were always going to end. That everything we built was just temporary. I am saying we were never going to work long term. He met her eyes finally, and she saw something there that might have been regret. But it was buried beneath resolve. You need someone who can be here. Who can show up. And I need someone who fits into the life I am building. That is not you, Monica. It was never going to be you. The words landed like physical blows. You are breaking up with me because I do not fit. I am being realistic. One of us has to be. She stared at him, this man she had loved for 2 years, this man she had rearranged her schedule to see, this man she had imagined building a life with. And she realized she had never really known him at all. When are you leaving? My flight is tomorrow morning. Tomorrow. She laughed, but it was a broken sound. So this is not a conversation. This is you informing me. I thought you deserved to hear it in person. How considerate of you. Monica, please do not make this harder than it has to be. The last thread of her composure snapped. Do not make this harder. You are ending 2 years in 5 minutes. You packed your bags before you even talked to me. You have probably known about this for weeks and you are just now telling me. And you want me to make it easier for you? Vincent picked up his suitcase. I knew you would react like this. That is why I waited. React like what? Like a person with feelings? Like someone who thought she mattered to you? He was already at the door. I am sorry, Mon. I really am. But this is how it has to be. Take care of yourself. And then he was gone. The door clicked shut behind him with a sound of terrible finality. Monica stood in the kitchen for a long time, staring at the space where he had been. Then she walked to the coffee table, picked up the photo of them at a charity gala from 6 months ago, and really looked at it for the first time. She was looking at him with adoration. He was looking at his phone. The signs had always been there. She had just refused to see them. She threw the photo in the trash and went back to the hospital for the final 12 hours of her shift, because that was what survivors did. They kept moving. They kept working. They did not let the people who hurt them see them break. But late that night, in the on-call room, she finally let herself cry. Deep, ugly sobs that shook her whole body, mourning not just the relationship, but the future she had imagined with him. The partnership. The family. The life. She did not know yet that life was already taking shape inside her. She would not find out for another 3 weeks. And when she did, everything would change. The test came back positive on a Tuesday afternoon. Monica sat on the bathroom floor of her tiny apartment, staring at the 2 pink lines like they were written in a language she had forgotten how to read. Positive. Pregnant. A child growing inside her, a life created in the final weeks of a relationship that had ended with the click of a door. Vincent's child. She did the math immediately, the way medical minds do. Conception had happened right around his birthday, when he had flown back from a conference specifically to spend the weekend with her, when things had felt almost perfect. 2 weeks later, he was gone. He did not know. He could not know. He was on the other side of the world, building his empire, living the life that had no room for her. Did it have room for a child he had never wanted? She picked up her phone 3 times that first night. Each time, she stared at his contact information, thumb hovering over the call button, heart pounding with words she had not figured out how to say. "Vincent, I am pregnant. You are going to be a father. Please come back." But every time she imagined saying those words, she heard his response in her head. The practical considerations. The logistics of custody across continents. The lawyers who would appear within days, drawing up agreements and establishing rights and turning their child into a contract negotiation. She remembered his face in her apartment, the careful blankness as he explained that she did not fit into his life. Would a child fare any better? Or would their baby become another item on his calendar, another meeting to reschedule when something more important came up? She thought about her own father, present at every soccer game, every school play, every moment that mattered. He had shown up not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Because being her father was never a burden or an obligation, but a joy. Could Vincent be that kind of father? Or would he show up out of guilt, stay out of duty, and eventually drift away when the novelty wore off? She could not answer those questions. And she could not risk her child on guesses. 3 days later, she made her decision. She called her mother first. "Monica, you are scaring me." Helen Charles's voice crackled through the phone. "What is wrong? Are you sick?" "I am pregnant, Mom." The silence lasted long enough for Monica to hear her own heartbeat in her ears. "Vincent's?" Helen finally asked. "Yes." "Does he know?" "No. And I am not going to tell him." Another silence, this one heavier. "Monica. Baby. I know he hurt you. But he is the father. He has a right to know. He has a right." Monica heard her own voice break. "He told me I do not fit into his life, Mom. He is on the other side of the world building an empire that was always more important than I was. Do you really think he is going to come back and be a father? Or is he going to send checks and lawyers and turn my child into another business arrangement? You do not know that is how he would react. I know him, Mom. I know that when things get hard, he chooses whatever is easier. And I am not going to put a child through the pain of having a father who is only around when it is convenient." Helen was quiet for a moment. "So what are you going to do?" "I am going to transfer my residency. There is a program in Denver, one of the best in the country for neurosurgery. I already made some inquiries. They have space. I can start fresh." "Denver. That is a long way from everyone you know." "That is the point, Mom. I need distance. From the memories, from the places we used to go together, from the chance of running into anyone who might know him or tell him. I need to start over. And you are sure this is what you want? Raising a child alone, in a new city, while finishing one of the most demanding residencies in medicine?" Monica placed a hand on her still flat stomach. "I am not sure of anything except that this baby is coming, and I am going to give them the best life I possibly can. With or without Vincent Johnson." Helen sighed, the sound carrying decades of maternal love and worry. "Then I am coming with you. You are not doing this alone. Mom, you do not have to do that. I know I do not have to. I want to. That is my grandchild. And you are my daughter. And we Charles women, we take care of each other." For the first time since the positive test, Monica felt something other than fear. She felt hope. 1 month later, she was in Denver, her old life packed into boxes and her new life packed into her body, growing stronger every day. She never looked back. She did not have time. The first year was a crucible. Medical residency was designed to break people. 80-hour weeks. Life and death decisions. The constant pressure of learning while doing, of studying while practicing, of knowing that every mistake carried consequences that could not be undone. Now add to that a pregnancy. Morning sickness during rounds. Swollen ankles during 12-hour surgeries. The constant exhaustion of growing a human while trying to become a doctor. Monica pushed through it all with a determination that surprised even herself. She worked until the day before her due date, updating patient charts from a wheelchair because her ankles were too swollen to stand. She was back on rotation 6 weeks after delivery, pumping breast milk in supply closets between consults and learning to function on 2 hours of sleep. Kyra was born on a March morning, after 14 hours of labor and 0 epidural because Monica was too stubborn to accept help even when she was in pain. Helen was the only one in the delivery room, holding her daughter's hand, whispering encouragements as Monica brought new life into the world. The moment the nurse placed Kyra in her arms, everything changed. This tiny person. This impossibly small human with her dark hair and her father's amber eyes. Monica looked at her daughter and felt a love so fierce it was almost violent, a protectiveness that rewrote her entire understanding of what mattered. "I have got you," she whispered. "I have got you, and I am never letting go." Helen took a picture of that moment, mother and daughter meeting for the first time, exhaustion and joy written across Monica's face in equal measure. It became the first of thousands of pictures documenting a childhood Vincent Johnson would never witness. But the delivery room moment was just the beginning. The real test came in the weeks and months that followed. There were nights when Kyra would not stop crying and Monica had a surgery observation at 6 in the morning and she sat on the floor of her tiny apartment, sobbing right along with her baby, wondering if she had made a terrible mistake. There were moments of pure despair, lying in bed at 2 in the morning, Kyra finally asleep, too exhausted to move but too anxious to rest. She would stare at the ceiling and think about Vincent, wonder what he was doing at that moment, wonder if he ever thought about her, wonder if she should have told him after all. One night, at her lowest point, she actually dialed his office number. It rang twice before she came to her senses and hung up. What would she even say? "Hi, it has been 8 months, surprise, you have a daughter, please disrupt your entire life." No. She had made her choice. She had to live with it. The hardest moment came 6 months after Kyra was born. Monica was on a 36-hour shift, running on caffeine and desperation, when she got called into a surgery that went wrong. A patient died on the table. An aneurysm nobody had caught. There was nothing she could have done, the attending surgeon assured her, but Monica felt the weight of it anyway. She drove home at 4 in the morning, collected Kyra from Helen, and sat in her car in the parking garage, holding her sleeping daughter, crying so hard she could not breathe. Her phone buzzed. A notification from a news app she had forgotten to delete. Vincent Johnson named to Forbes 30 Under 30 for revolutionary biomedical innovation. There was a picture of him at some gala, looking polished and successful, a beautiful woman on his arm whose name Monica did not recognize. He was thriving. He had moved on completely. And she was sitting in a parking garage with a baby she could barely afford to feed, working a job that was slowly killing her, wondering if she would ever sleep through the night again. In that moment, something inside her shifted. She looked at the picture of Vincent and his perfect life. She looked at her daughter, asleep in her car seat, completely unaware of the struggles her mother was facing. And she made a decision. She was not going to just survive. She was going to excel. She was going to become so successful, so accomplished, so undeniably excellent at everything she did, that no one would ever be able to say she had failed. She was going to build a life so full and rich that Vincent Johnson's absence would not even be a footnote. She was going to prove, to herself and to the world, that she did not need him. Had never needed him. Would never need anyone who did not choose to be there. It was the anger that saved her. Not the healthy kind they talk about in therapy, but the raw, burning, fuel-injected rage of a woman who had been discarded and refused to accept it as her destiny. She channeled that anger into her work. She became the first resident to arrive and the last to leave. She published research papers on pediatric neurosurgery that got cited in journals across the country. She won fellowships and awards and the grudging respect of attendings who had initially doubted whether a single mother could handle the demands of the program. And through it all, she was present for Kyra. Every first step, every first word, every bedtime story and scraped knee and moment that mattered. She created a schedule that bordered on impossible and made it work through sheer force of will. Helen was her lifeline. Her mother had sold her house in Boston and moved into a small apartment near Monica's, available for childcare whenever the hospital demanded Monica's presence. They developed a rhythm, a partnership of women raising a child together, building a family that did not need a man to be complete. By the time Kyra was 2, Monica had been accepted into the most competitive neurosurgery fellowship in the country. By 3, she was performing surgeries that made headlines, saving children that other doctors had given up on. By 4, she was on track to graduate at the top of her program, with job offers from hospitals across the country. She had done it. Everything she had promised herself in that parking garage, she had delivered. And she had done it alone. But Kyra was changing too. Growing from infant to toddler to little girl, developing opinions and questions and an awareness of the world that sometimes caught Monica off guard. The first time Kyra asked about her father, she was 3.5 years old. They were at the park, watching other families play. A little boy ran past them shouting, "Daddy, Daddy, look at me," and Kyra's eyes followed him with an intensity that made Monica's heart ache. "Mommy," Kyra said quietly, "where is my daddy?" Monica had known this question was coming. She had practiced answers in her head, tried to find the words that would be honest without being cruel, age-appropriate without being dismissive. "Some families have mommies and daddies," she said carefully. "Some have 2 mommies or 2 daddies. Some have just 1 mommy or just 1 daddy. And some, like us, have 1 mommy who loves them so much it counts for a whole army." Kyra considered this. "But I had a daddy once, right? I did not come from nowhere." "No, baby. You did not come from nowhere. You had a daddy, but he is not with us." "Is he dead?" "No. He is just not here." "Why not?" Monica pulled her daughter close. "Sometimes adults make choices that are hard to explain. Your daddy chose a path that did not include us. That is not your fault, and it does not mean anything is wrong with you. It just means he was not ready to be the daddy you deserve." "Is he lost? Like when I lose my teddy bear and we have to find it?" Monica smiled despite the ache in her chest. "Something like that, baby. Something like that." Kyra seemed to accept this for the moment, running off to play on the swings. But Monica sat on the bench for a long time, watching her daughter, thinking about the questions that would only get harder as Kyra got older. Was she doing the right thing? Keeping Vincent away? Denying Kyra the chance to know her father? She told herself yes. She told herself Kyra was better off without a part-time parent who showed up out of obligation. She told herself that protecting her daughter from potential disappointment was worth the cost of keeping this secret. But late at night, when the doubts crept in, she was not always sure. The invitation arrived 3 months before the graduation ceremony. Monica was making breakfast when Helen came in with the mail, her face carrying an expression that immediately put Monica on alert. "You got something from the university?" "About the graduation." Monica took the envelope, expecting the usual logistical details. Instead, she found a program featuring the list of honorary degree recipients and distinguished donors. Her eyes landed on his name and her coffee cup slipped from her fingers, shattering on the kitchen floor. "Mommy?" Kyra looked up from her cereal. "What is wrong?" "Nothing, baby. Just an accident." But her hands were shaking as she cleaned up the mess, her mind racing through possibilities and implications. Vincent Johnson. Honorary doctorate. Recognition ceremony. Her graduation. He was going to be there. In the same room. On the same stage. The day she received the degree she had fought 4 impossible years to earn. Helen read the program over her shoulder. "Well. That is quite a coincidence." "There is no such thing as coincidence," Monica muttered. "The universe just has a terrible sense of humor." "What are you going to do?" "What can I do? Skip my own graduation? Let him take this away from me too?" Helen touched her shoulder. "Monica. He is going to see her. If you bring Kyra to the ceremony, he is going to see her." Monica stared at the program, at his name printed in elegant script, at the announcement of his generous donation to the neuroscience research wing. Let him see her. She heard herself say the words before she fully processed them. Let him see what he missed. Are you sure that is what you want? Helen's voice was careful. Once he knows, everything changes. You cannot put that genie back in the bottle. Monica thought about the 4 years she had spent building a life. The sleepless nights and impossible choices. The moment in the parking garage when she decided she would not just survive but thrive. The child who called her mommy and looked at her like she hung the moon. She had nothing to hide. Nothing to be ashamed of. She had built something extraordinary, and she had done it without his help. If Vincent Johnson wanted to know what happened to the woman who did not fit into his life, she would show him. She would show him exactly who she had become. I am sure, she told Helen. Let him see everything. If you are still with me, if Monica's story is hitting you in places you did not expect, I need you to do something right now. Hit that like button. Not because I am asking, but because this story matters. Because there are people watching right now who are living their own version of Monica's struggle, who need to know that surviving is just the first step, that thriving is possible, that the people who walk away do not get to determine your destiny. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message today. Subscribe if you want to see what happens when these two worlds collide, because trust me, what comes next will stay with you long after the video ends. Now, let me take you to graduation day. The morning of the ceremony dawned clear and bright, as if the universe was trying to mock Monica's internal chaos. She stood in front of her bathroom mirror, applying makeup with the precision she usually reserved for surgery. Today was not about looking pretty. It was about looking powerful. Every stroke of mascara, every layer of foundation, was armor. Helen appeared in the doorway. Kyra is dressed and ready. She is very excited about seeing you walk across the big stage. Her words. Monica smiled despite her nerves. How do I look? Like a woman who conquered the world and is ready to accept her crown. Good. That is what I was going for. She walked into the living room where Kyra was waiting, dressed in a beautiful lavender dress that matched the small flower crown Helen had woven for her hair. Mommy. Kyra's face lit up. You look like a princess. No, baby. Monica crouched down to her level. You look like a princess. I look like a doctor. A brain doctor, to be specific. A brain doctor princess, Kyra decided. The best kind. Monica laughed and pulled her daughter into a hug that lasted a little too long, breathing in the scent of baby shampoo and innocence, drawing strength from this small person who had given her so much purpose. You ready for a big day? Kyra nodded enthusiastically. Grandma said there will be music and speeches and you will wear a funny hat. It is called a cap. But yes, it is a little funny. Can I wear one too? When you graduate, baby. In a long, long time. Helen ushered them toward the door. We need to leave or you will be late. And doctors, especially brain doctor princesses, are never late. The drive to the university felt like a journey through time. Every mile brought Monica closer to a confrontation she had been subconsciously preparing for over 4 years. She had imagined this moment in 100 different ways, usually in the dead of night when sleep would not come. What would she say to Vincent if she ever saw him again? What could she say? The university auditorium was already filling when they arrived. Helen took Kyra to find seats in the family section while Monica made her way backstage, joining her fellow graduates in the holding area. Dr. James Patterson found her immediately. Her closest friend from the program, the person who had talked her off ledges more times than she could count, the one who knew almost all of her secrets. You look like you are about to perform surgery, he observed. Not receive a diploma. Same level of stakes, Monica replied. Different kind of operation. James did not know everything. He knew about Kyra, knew Monica was a single mother, knew that the father was not in the picture. He did not know who the father was. He did not know that the father was, at this very moment, probably arriving in a chauffeured car to accept an honorary degree. Whatever is going on, James said quietly, you have got this. You did not get here by accident. You earned every single letter of those credentials. Monica squeezed his hand. Thank you. For everything. For the last 4 years. Buy me a drink later and we will call it even. The graduates lined up in the order they would be called. Monica checked her phone one last time. A text from Helen. We are seated. 3rd row from the front on the left. Kyra is being very good. She says she cannot wait to see her mommy become a brain doctor. Monica smiled and put the phone away. Whatever happened next, she had her daughter's love. That was enough. That had always been enough. The ceremony began with the traditional pomp and circumstance. The university president welcomed the crowd. Distinguished faculty were acknowledged. The first honorary degrees were presented. And then his name was called. Vincent Johnson, Chief Executive Officer of Johnson Biomedical Enterprises, in recognition of his transformative contributions to medical technology and his generous establishment of the Johnson Foundation Neuroscience Research Wing. Monica watched from the wings as he walked across the stage. He looked different. Older, obviously. More polished. The raw ambition she remembered had been refined into something smoother, more practiced. He wore his success like a custom-tailored suit, which he was also literally wearing. There was a woman with him. Blonde, beautiful, dressed in something designer that probably cost more than Monica's monthly rent. She was seated in the front row of the donor section, a massive diamond ring catching the light every time she moved her hand. His fiancée. Monica had seen the tabloid headlines but had refused to read the articles. Kyra something. An influencer or socialite or whatever people called professional pretty persons these days. Vincent accepted his honorary degree with practiced humility, delivering a brief speech about the importance of investing in medical research and education. His voice was the same. The same voice that had told her she did not fit. The same voice that had walked out of her life without a backward glance. Monica felt her hands curl into fists at her sides. "You okay?" James whispered. "Fine. Just ready for this to be over." The doctoral candidates were called by specialty. Neurosurgery was third. When Monica's cohort was announced, she stood with her fellow graduates and began the walk toward the stage. Her legs were steady. Her spine was straight. She had practiced this walk in her mind 1,000 times. The announcer's voice rang through the auditorium. Dr. Monica Charles, completing her fellowship in neurosurgery with summa cum laude distinction. Dr. Charles is also the recipient of the Patterson Award for Excellence in Pediatric Neurosurgical Research and has been published in 17 peer-reviewed journals. Her work on minimally invasive techniques for pediatric brain tumors has been recognized internationally as groundbreaking in the field. The accomplishments continued, each one a stone she had placed in the foundation of her new life. Each one proof that she had not just survived what Vincent did to her. She had transcended it. She was halfway across the stage when it happened. "Mommy." The voice was high and clear and carried through the formal silence like a bell. "Mommy, that is my mommy. I see her. That is my mommy." Laughter rippled through the audience at the child's enthusiasm. Someone said "ah." Someone else shushed their own child who was asking why they could not yell too. Monica's eyes found Kyra in the audience. Her daughter was standing on Helen's lap, waving frantically, her lavender dress bright against the sea of formal attire. And then Monica looked at the donor section. Vincent was staring at her. His face had gone completely white. His eyes moved from Monica to the source of the child's voice, scanning the audience until they landed on Kyra. Even from across the auditorium, Monica could see the moment recognition hit him. The way his body went rigid. The way his mouth opened but no sound came out. The way he looked at Kyra, then at Monica, then back at Kyra, doing math that was 4 years too late. His eyes. The child had his eyes. Monica did not stop walking. She accepted her diploma from the dean. She shook hands with the department head. She smiled for the photograph. And then she walked off the stage with the dignity of a woman who had earned every step. Let him look. Let him see. Let him understand exactly what he had lost. She did not look at him again. She did not need to. The ceremony continued, but for Vincent Johnson, the world had stopped making sense. He sat in his seat, unable to move, unable to think, unable to do anything except stare at the little girl in the audience who had his eyes and his mother's nose and his smile. His daughter. His child. 4 years old, maybe 5. Which meant Monica had been pregnant when he left. Which meant she had gone through the pregnancy alone, the delivery alone, the first steps and first words and first everything alone. She had never told him. Kyra was saying something beside him, tugging at his arm, asking why he looked like he had seen a ghost. He could not process her words. He could not process anything except the nuclear explosion of understanding detonating in his mind. He had a daughter. The woman he had walked away from had built a new life without him, had raised their child without him, had become a celebrated neurosurgeon without him. And he had been completely, utterly, obliviously unaware. The rest of the ceremony was a blur. Vincent sat through the remaining graduates, the closing remarks, the recessional music, seeing nothing, hearing nothing. His entire existence had narrowed to a single point of focus. He had to find Monica. He had to talk to her. He had to understand. The moment the ceremony ended, he was on his feet. Vincent. Kayla grabbed his arm. Where are you going? We are supposed to meet the dean for photographs. Later. I have to do something. Do what? What is wrong with you? You have been acting strange since that neurosurgery woman crossed the stage. That neurosurgery woman is Monica Charles. Kayla's brow furrowed. Am I supposed to know who that is? She is someone I knew. Years ago. Before. He pulled free of Kayla's grip and pushed through the crowd toward the graduate exit. He had to find her before she disappeared again. The backstage area was chaos. Graduates hugging families, professors shaking hands, photographers trying to capture moments. Vincent scanned the crowd desperately, looking for the woman who had just shattered his entire understanding of his own life. He found her near the exit, gathering her things, about to leave. A child was holding her hand. His child. Their child. Monica. She turned at the sound of his voice. Her expression was perfectly composed, revealing nothing. Vincent. Congratulations on your honorary degree. We need to talk. Do we? I am pretty busy, actually. Doctor things. That child. His voice cracked. Tell me I am wrong. Tell me I am seeing things. You already asked me that. I already answered. The little girl was looking up at him with frank curiosity. She had amber eyes. His amber eyes. The eyes his mother always said were passed down through generations of Johnsons. Mommy, who is this man? Why does he keep looking at us? Monica crouched down to her daughter's level, her body language protective even as her voice stayed calm. This is someone Mama knew a long time ago, sweetheart. Before you were born. He has eyes like me, the girl observed. Nobody has eyes like me except me. You said I got them from someone special. You did, baby. You absolutely did. Vincent felt like he could not breathe. Her name. What is her name? Monica straightened, meeting his gaze with an expression that was equal parts defiance and resignation. Her name is Kyra. She is 4 years old. She loves dinosaurs and ballet and asking questions about how brains work. She is the single greatest thing that ever happened to me, and I raised her entirely on my own. Why did you not tell me? And there it was. The question that had been burning in his chest since the moment he connected the dots. Monica's laugh was hollow. Why did I not tell you? Let me think about that for a second. Maybe because you told me I did not fit into your life and walked out the door. Maybe because you were on the other side of the world building your empire while I was discovering I was pregnant with your child. Maybe because I could not face the idea of forcing my daughter to have a part-time father who showed up when convenient. I would have come back. Would you? You did not come back for me. Why would I believe you would come back for a baby you never wanted? The accusation hit him like a physical blow. I never said I did not want children. You never said you did. You talked about your company like it was your child. Every time I mentioned the future, you changed the subject. What was I supposed to think? Kyra was watching this exchange with wide eyes, clearly picking up on the tension even if she did not understand it. Mommy, why is he upset? Because adults sometimes have to talk about hard things, baby. And sometimes that makes them feel big feelings. Vincent looked at the child. His child. The child who did not know him, who owed him nothing, who had grown up believing her father was lost somewhere like a misplaced teddy bear. Can I ask her something? His voice was barely a whisper. Monica hesitated, then nodded almost imperceptibly. Vincent crouched down, bringing himself to Kyra's eye level the way Monica had moments before. Hi, Kyra. I know we just met, but I wanted to tell you something. You have the most beautiful eyes I have ever seen. Kyra considered him seriously. They are the same as yours. They are. You know what else? You have my mama's nose. My mama would have loved meeting you. The past tense registered somewhere in Monica's expression, but she said nothing. Your mama is my grandma? Kyra asked. She would have been, if. Vincent stopped. If things had been different. Mommy says things are complicated sometimes. That is what she says when she does not want to explain stuff. Your mommy is very smart. Things are complicated. But maybe. He looked up at Monica. Maybe we can try to uncomplicate them. If your mommy will let me. Monica's expression was unreadable. Kayla's voice cut through the moment like a knife. Vincent. There you are. I have been looking everywhere for you. The dean is waiting. She appeared at his elbow, diamonds glittering, irritation barely concealed beneath her polished surface. What is going on here? Who are you talking to? This is Dr. Monica Charles, Vincent said, rising to his full height. We knew each other. Before. Before when? Kayla's eyes narrowed as she took in Monica, Kyra, the tension that hung in the air. Before me? Before everything. Kayla's gaze dropped to Kyra. Her expression shifted as she processed what she was seeing. The eyes. The unmistakable resemblance. That child. Is that child yours? The question hung in the air like a blade. Monica answered before Vincent could. Her name is Kyra. She is my daughter. And she is none of your concern. But the look on Kayla's face said she understood exactly whose child Kyra was. And from the venom in her eyes, this understanding was not going to lead anywhere good. The tension in that backstage area was thick enough to cut with a scalpel. Kayla stood there, her designer heels planted firmly on the ground, her eyes moving between Vincent and the little girl who bore his unmistakable features. Monica could see the calculations happening behind those perfectly made-up eyes. The social implications. The media fallout. The disruption to whatever carefully curated life Kayla had been building with Vincent. You have a child. Kayla's voice was ice-wrapped in silk. A child you never told me about. I did not know. Vincent's voice was hollow. I just found out. Right now. This moment. You did not know. How could you not know your own child exists? Because I was never told. He looked at Monica with something that might have been accusation or might have been devastation. I was never given the chance to know. Kayla's laugh was sharp and bitter. So let me understand this. Your ex-girlfriend shows up at a ceremony where you are receiving an honorary degree, and surprise, she has a secret child that happens to look exactly like you. This is not some kind of setup. Some elaborate scheme to get her hooks back into you. Monica's composure finally cracked. Excuse me. I did not even know he would be here until 3 months ago. I have spent the last 4 years building a career, raising my daughter, and doing everything in my power to forget Vincent Johnson ever existed. Trust me, if I wanted to get my hooks into anyone, would aim considerably higher than a man who told me I did not fit into his life. Kayla's eyes widened at the directness. Vincent, are you going to let her speak to me like that? She is telling the truth, Vincent said quietly. Everything she said is true. I left her. I ended things. I walked away without looking back. That was before me. That is ancient history. Not anymore. Vincent looked at Kyra, who was pressing close to Monica's leg, clearly unsettled by the angry voices. Not anymore. Mommy. Kyra's voice was small. Can we go now? I do not like it here. Monica immediately softened, crouching down to comfort her daughter. Yes, baby. We can go. Grandma is waiting for us. She lifted Kyra onto her hip and looked at Vincent one final time. You know where to find me. If you actually want to have a conversation, you can call. But right now, my daughter is scared and confused, and I am taking her home. She walked away without waiting for a response. Vincent watched her go, watched his daughter's face peering over Monica's shoulder, those amber eyes studying him with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. Kayla grabbed his arm. We need to talk. Now. Privately. They found an empty hallway away from the crowds. Kayla's composure had crumbled completely, replaced by fury that twisted her beautiful features into something unrecognizable. How could you do this to me? How could you put me in this position? I told you, I did not know. I had no idea she was pregnant when I left. And you expect me to believe that? You expect me to believe that in 5 years, you never once tried to contact her? Never checked up on her? Never wondered what happened to the woman you supposedly loved? The question hit him harder than any accusation. No. He admitted it quietly. I never did. Why not? Because I was a coward. Because checking on her would have meant admitting I made a mistake. Because it was easier to move forward than to look back. Kyra stared at him like she was seeing him for the first time. So you just abandoned her. And now there is a child. Your child. A child who has been growing up without a father because you could not be bothered to care. I am going to fix it. Fix it? How exactly do you plan to fix 4 years of absence? How do you plan to explain this to the media, to our friends, to my family? We are supposed to be getting married in 6 months, Vincent. This changes everything. I know. And what are you going to do about it? Vincent was silent for a long moment. I am going to be her father. Whatever that takes. And what about us? What about our life? Our wedding? Kyra, that child is my daughter. She has been growing up without me. I have already missed 4 years. I am not missing any more. So you are choosing her. That woman and that child over me. I am choosing to be the father I should have been from the beginning. Kyra's face went through several emotions in rapid succession. Disbelief. Rage. And finally, cold calculation. If you pursue this, if you let that woman back into your life, we are done. I will not be humiliated. I will not be the fiancé who was thrown over for an old flame and a secret baby. Vincent looked at her. Really looked at her. And he realized something that should have been obvious months ago. He did not love her. He had never loved her. She was convenient. Appropriate. Easy to be with because she never challenged him, never pushed him to be better, never demanded anything beyond his money and his status. She was everything Monica was not. And that was exactly the problem. Then I guess we are done. Kyra's mouth fell open. You cannot be serious. I have never been more serious about anything in my life. She ripped the diamond ring from her finger and threw it at his chest. It bounced off and clattered to the floor, spinning in the fluorescent light. You will regret this. When the media gets hold of this story, when everyone finds out what kind of man you really are, you will regret throwing me away. Maybe. But I would regret losing my daughter more. Kyra stormed off, her heels clicking in angry rhythm against the floor. Vincent stood alone in the hallway, the discarded engagement ring at his feet, and felt something he had not felt in years. Clarity. That night, Vincent sat in his hotel room and stared at nothing. The silence was deafening. He was used to constant noise. Phones ringing, emails pinging, assistants briefing him on the next meeting. His life was a symphony of productivity, every moment scheduled, every hour optimized. Now there was nothing but silence and the weight of what he had learned. He had a daughter. A 4-year-old girl with his eyes and his mother's nose and a laugh he had never heard. She had taken her first steps without him. Said her first words without him. Had 4 birthdays, 4 Christmases, 4 years of life that he knew nothing about. And Monica. Monica had done it all alone. He thought about the woman he remembered from 5 years ago. Warm. Passionate. Driven. She had been working impossible hours in her residency, but she always made time for him. Always showed up when he needed her. Always believed in his dreams even when his own faith wavered. And how had he repaid that devotion? By walking away. By choosing his company over her. By telling her she did not fit. He picked up his phone and pulled up a search engine. For the first time in 5 years, he typed her name. The results were immediate and extensive. Dr. Monica Charles. Pediatric neurosurgeon. Published researcher. Award winner. The articles painted a picture of a woman who had risen through the most demanding medical specialty while raising a child alone. Conference presentations. Journal publications. Breakthrough surgical techniques. She had become extraordinary. And she had done it without him. In spite of him. Perhaps because of him. He thought about his own life since leaving her. The company had thrived. Johnson Biomedical was now a global leader in medical technology. He had made the Forbes list 3 times. He had dated actresses and models and socialites. He had been engaged to a woman who looked perfect on his arm. And none of it had made him happy. He had filled his days with achievement because achievement did not require vulnerability. Success was a metric he could control. Love was not. He had run from Monica because she made him feel things he could not quantify or manage. She challenged him. Called him out. Demanded that he be present, be authentic, be more than just a collection of accomplishments. And he had found that terrifying. So he left. Told himself it was practical. Told himself long distance would not work. Told himself she deserved better than a man who was always traveling. The truth was simpler and uglier. He was afraid of what she made him feel. Afraid of needing someone. Afraid of building something that could be lost. So he destroyed it first, on his own terms. And now there was a child. A daughter who had grown up without him. Who called another man daddy in her imagination. Who looked at him today like he was a stranger, because that is exactly what he was. He thought about Kayla's accusation. You never once tried to contact her. Never checked up on her. She was right. He had not. He had moved forward with ruthless efficiency, purging Monica from his life like a failed investment. He had not kept photos. Had not asked mutual friends how she was doing. Had not allowed himself to wonder about the life he left behind. It was easier that way. Cleaner. Less painful. But the pain had been waiting. It had been accumulating interest for 5 years. And now the bill had come due. His phone buzzed. A text from his assistant. Multiple media inquiries about your whereabouts. Miss Kayla has been posting on social media. Statements needed urgently. He turned off the phone. For the first time in his adult life, the company could wait. The media could wait. Everything could wait. He needed to think. He needed to figure out how to be the father he should have been from the beginning. And he needed Monica to give him the chance. 3 days later, Vincent made the call. Monica answered on the 4th ring, her voice guarded. I was wondering when you would call. I have been trying to figure out what to say. Apparently, I still have not figured it out. There was a pause on the other end. Where are you? Still in the city. I cancelled my flight back to New York. Why? Because I am not leaving until we talk. Really talk. Not in the chaos of a graduation ceremony with your daughter scared and my fiancé making a scene. Ex-fiancé, I assume. Yes. Ex-fiancé. Another pause. He could hear Monica breathing, could almost feel her thinking through the implications. What do you want, Vincent? I want to explain. I want to apologize. I want to understand why you made the choices you made, even if I do not agree with them. And then what? Then I want to figure out how to be in my daughter's life. If you will let me. The silence stretched long enough that Vincent began to wonder if she had hung up. There is a coffee shop on Maple Street, Monica finally said. The Daily Grind. I can meet you there tomorrow at 10. Kyra will be with my mother. I will be there. Vincent. Her voice hardened. This is not about us. This is not about rekindling anything or revisiting the past. This is about Kyra, and only Kyra. If you are coming to this conversation with any other agenda, do not bother showing up. I understand. I hope you do. Because I have spent 4 years protecting my daughter from disappointment. I will not let anyone hurt her. Not even her father. She hung up before he could respond. The coffee shop was small and unpretentious, exactly the kind of place Vincent never frequented. He arrived 15 minutes early and chose a table in the back corner, ordering a coffee he did not really want just to have something to do with his hands. Monica arrived exactly at 10. She was dressed simply, jeans and a sweater, her hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. No makeup, or very little. She looked nothing like the polished women who populated his social circle. She looked like someone who had more important things to worry about than appearances. She ordered tea and sat across from him, her posture straight, her expression giving nothing away. So. Talk. Vincent had prepared speeches. He had stayed up half the night organizing his thoughts, practicing what he would say. Now, sitting across from her, all of those carefully constructed sentences evaporated. I am sorry. 2 words. Simple. Inadequate. But true. Monica's expression did not change. For what, specifically? There is a lot to choose from. For leaving. For how I left. For never looking back. For never checking on you. For missing everything. He leaned forward, needing her to understand. When I walked out that door 5 years ago, I told myself I was being practical. That long distance would not work. That you deserved someone who could be there. But those were lies, Monica. Lies I told myself because the truth was too hard to face. And what was the truth? The truth was that I was afraid. You made me feel things I could not control. You challenged me to be more than just my accomplishments. And that terrified me. So I ran. Monica absorbed this in silence. That is very self-aware of you. Did you figure that out on your own, or did a therapist help? Both. Mostly the therapist. I started seeing one about a year ago. Why? Because I was successful and miserable and I could not figure out why. Because I had everything I thought I wanted and it meant nothing. Because I kept dating women who were wrong for me and ending up more alone each time. He looked at his coffee, unable to meet her eyes. Because I never stopped thinking about you. Even when I tried not to. Monica was quiet for a long moment. You know what I keep thinking about? She said finally. That night in my apartment. When you told me I did not fit into your life. You had already packed your bags. You had already made the decision. The conversation was just a formality. I know. Do you know how that felt? To realize that the person I loved had decided I was disposable. That I was not even worth a real discussion. No. I do not know. I cannot imagine. Then let me tell you. It felt like I was worthless. It felt like everything I had given you, everything I had invested in us, meant nothing. It felt like I was just a placeholder until something better came along. Her voice cracked slightly, the first sign of emotion she had allowed. And then I found out I was pregnant. 3 weeks after you left. And I had to make a choice. Why did you not tell me? Because I was terrified. She admitted it quietly. Terrified of what you would do. Terrified that you would come back out of obligation and resent us for it. Terrified that you would send lawyers instead of love. Terrified that my child would grow up with a father who was only around when it was convenient. I would not have done that. Would you not? You left me because maintaining a relationship was inconvenient. Why would a child be different? Vincent had no answer. Because she was right. The man he had been 5 years ago, the man who prioritized his company over everything, the man who ran from emotional complexity. That man might well have done exactly what she feared. Maybe I would have, he admitted. Maybe I would have sent money and lawyers and tried to manage fatherhood like a business arrangement. Maybe I would have shown up when it suited my schedule and disappeared when it did not. Exactly. But that is not who I am anymore. Monica leaned back in her chair. How convenient. You had a revelation at the exact moment it serves your interests. I understand why you do not believe me. I have done nothing to earn your trust. But Monica, I am asking for a chance. Not with you. I know that ship has sailed. But with Kyra. I am asking for the chance to prove I can be the father she deserves. And what does that look like to you? Whatever you will allow. Supervised visits. Phone calls. Video chats. I will follow whatever rules you set. I will take whatever scraps of time you are willing to give. I just want to know my daughter. Monica studied him with those dark eyes that had always seemed to see right through him. If I let you into her life and you disappoint her, I will never forgive you. If I disappoint her, I will never forgive myself. Pretty words. But I have heard your pretty words before. Then let me prove them with actions. Give me one chance. One supervised visit. You set the terms. If I fail, if I show up late or distracted or anything less than completely present, you never have to see me again. The silence stretched between them, filled with years of pain and the fragile possibility of something new. One visit, Monica said finally. The park near my house. Saturday at 2. I will be there the entire time. If you are even 5 minutes late, the deal is off. I will be there. I swear. Do not make promises you cannot keep, Vincent. You have already broken enough of those. She stood, leaving her tea untouched. Saturday at 2. Do not disappoint me again. She walked out of the coffee shop and Vincent sat there for a long time, staring at the space where she had been, wondering if he was capable of becoming the man she needed him to be. The park was small and sun-dappled, filled with the sounds of children playing and parents chatting on benches. Vincent arrived 30 minutes early, his anxiety propelling him out of his hotel room long before necessary. He had changed his outfit 3 times that morning. His assistant had been bewildered when he asked for advice on what to wear to a playground. Eventually, he settled on jeans and a casual button-down, clothes that felt foreign after years of suits and formal wear. Monica arrived exactly at 2 with Kyra holding her hand. The little girl was wearing overalls and a purple t-shirt, her dark hair in 2 pigtails that made her look even younger than she was. She saw Vincent and stopped, studying him with the frank curiosity only children possess. You came back, she said. I did. Mommy said maybe you would not. She said sometimes adults do not do what they say they will do. Vincent felt that observation like a knife. Your mommy is right. Sometimes adults make mistakes. But I am going to try very hard to always do what I say I will do. At least with you. Kyra considered this. Okay. Do you want to see me swing? I can go very high. I would love to see you swing. She ran toward the playground, and Monica and Vincent followed at a slower pace. You actually came, Monica said. I told you I would. Showing up is the easy part. The hard part is what comes next. They found a bench with a clear view of the swings. Kyra was already climbing onto one, waving for them to watch. Push me, Daddy. The word hit Vincent like a physical force. Daddy. She had called him Daddy. He looked at Monica, uncertain. She nodded slightly. Vincent walked to the swings and positioned himself behind Kyra. Ready? Ready. He pushed, gently at first, then with more force as she urged him higher. Her laughter filled the air, pure and unguarded, and Vincent felt something in his chest shift. This was his daughter. This beautiful, vibrant, trusting child was his. And he had almost missed everything. Higher, she commanded. I want to touch the sky. He pushed her higher, watching her legs kick with joy, listening to her delighted squeals, and understood for the first time what he had been missing. Not accomplishment. Not success. Not the empty satisfaction of another deal closed. Connection. Purpose. The terrifying, wonderful vulnerability of loving someone more than yourself. The hour passed too quickly. Kyra showed him the slide and the monkey bars and the sandbox where she built elaborate castles. She asked him questions about his job, clearly not understanding what biomedical technology meant but fascinated by the idea that he built things that helped sick people. She asked if he had a dog. He said no. She said he should get one. She asked if he lived in a big house. He said yes. She said she lived in a medium house but it had a garden where she grew tomatoes. She asked if he would come back again. He looked at Monica before answering. If your mommy says it is okay, I would like to come back as often as I can. Kyra turned to Monica. Can he, Mommy? Can he come back? Monica looked at Vincent for a long moment, searching for something in his face. Yes, baby. He can come back. Kyra cheered and ran to show Vincent one more thing on the playground. Monica watched them go, her expression unreadable. That went better than I expected, she said when Vincent returned. She is incredible. You have done an amazing job with her. I had no choice. It was either do an amazing job or fall apart, and falling apart was not an option. Vincent sat beside her on the bench. Can I ask you something? You can ask. I might not answer. How did you do it? The residency, the fellowship, raising her alone. How did you survive? Monica was quiet for a moment, watching Kyra play. There were days I did not think I would. There was a night about 6 months after she was born when I sat in my car in a parking garage and cried for an hour. I had just lost a patient. My first one. Kyra was screaming in the car seat. I had not slept in 36 hours. And I saw an article about you making the Forbes list, looking perfect at some gala with a beautiful woman on your arm. I am sorry. I am not telling you this so you will apologize. I am telling you because you asked how I survived. The answer is, I got angry. I looked at that picture of you living your best life while I was falling apart, and something inside me just snapped. I decided I was not going to be a cautionary tale. I was not going to be the single mother who could not handle it. I was going to be the single mother who conquered the world. And you did. And I did. But Vincent, you need to understand something. That anger saved me. It also changed me. I am not the woman you knew 5 years ago. I am harder. Less trusting. Less willing to give second chances. I understand. Do you? Because what I am about to say might hurt, but you need to hear it. I do not trust you. Not at all. I believe you want to be a good father right now, in this moment. But wanting is not the same as doing. And I have seen too many people make promises they cannot keep. So what do I have to do? To earn your trust? Show up. Consistently. Not just when it is convenient or exciting or new. Show up when it is hard. Show up when you are tired. Show up when your company needs you somewhere else. Show up even when she is being difficult, because 4-year-olds can be very difficult. I will. You say that now. Let us see if you still mean it in 6 months. Before we continue with what happens in those 6 months and beyond, I need to speak directly to you for a moment. If Vincent's journey toward redemption is resonating with you, if Monica's strength in demanding proof rather than promises is speaking to something in your own life, then this story is already doing its job. But stories do not tell themselves. They need you. Your engagement tells me that these messages matter. Your likes help other people find hope in narratives about survival and second chances. Your comments create a community of people who believe that broken things can be rebuilt. So here is what I need you to do right now. If you believe people can change, truly change, not just say they have changed but actually become different, hit that like button. If you know someone who needs to hear that protecting your peace is not the same as closing yourself off forever, share this video with them. And if you want to see whether Vincent can actually become the father Kyra deserves, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Now, let me tell you what happened next. Vincent did not just show up. He restructured his entire life to show up. Within a month, he had established a satellite office for Johnson Biomedical in Denver, moving key operations west so he could be present rather than perpetually traveling. Within 2 months, he had purchased a house 20 minutes from Monica's apartment, a family home with a backyard and a room he decorated specifically for Kyra. He called every night before bedtime, no matter what time zone he was in. He video chatted with Kyra about her day, listened to her stories about preschool, watched her show him drawings and dance moves and the elaborate fantasy world she constructed. He attended her ballet recital, sitting in the audience with Helen, applauding louder than anyone when Kyra took her bow. He coached her soccer team despite knowing almost nothing about the sport, spending nights studying rules and drills so he could be useful rather than decorative. He turned down meetings. Rescheduled acquisitions. Told his board of directors that his daughter's school play was not negotiable. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to change. Monica noticed it first in the small things. The way Kyra talked about her daddy now with excitement rather than confusion. The way she would run to the door when she knew he was coming. The way she had started saying things like daddy says and daddy thinks as if his opinions had become part of her worldview. She noticed it in herself too. The way her shoulders did not tense quite as much when Vincent was around. The way she had stopped waiting for him to fail, stopped holding her breath every time he made a promise. He was keeping them. All of them. Every single one. For months after that first park visit, Helen pulled Monica aside. You are different, she said. Less angry. I am still angry. Maybe. But you are also something else. Something that looks suspiciously like hopeful. Monica did not know how to respond to that. Hope had been a luxury she could not afford for so long. Trusting it felt dangerous. He is going to disappoint me, she said. Eventually. They always do. Maybe. Helen's voice was gentle. But maybe not everyone is the same person. Maybe some people actually learn. Before Monica could argue, Kyra burst into the room. Mommy. Daddy said I can help him pick out a fish for his new house. He said I could name it. Can it be purple? Fish are not purple, baby. Daddy said if we look hard enough, maybe we can find one that is almost purple. Can we go? Please. Monica looked at her daughter's excited face, at the joy that had become so common since Vincent started showing up. Yes, sweetheart. You can go. Kyra cheered and ran to find her shoes. Helen gave Monica a meaningful look. That is hope, she said. Right there. 5 months in, Kyra asked the question Monica had been dreading. They were eating dinner together, just the two of them, when Kyra looked up from her pasta with an expression that suggested deep contemplation. Mommy, do you love Daddy? Monica set down her fork carefully. That is a complicated question, baby. Adults always say things are complicated when they do not want to answer. Daddy said that once. Then he said adults need to be braver. Did he now? Aha. So are you going to be brave? Monica looked at her daughter, this wise, perceptive child who had somehow developed the ability to cut through adult nonsense with surgical precision. Your daddy and I are still figuring out how to be friends. Sometimes that takes time. Especially when people have hurt each other in the past. Did Daddy hurt you? A long time ago. Yes. Did he say sorry? Many times. Then why are you still mad? I am not still mad, Monica said, and realized as she said it that it was true. Not angry anymore. Just careful. Kyra considered this. Daddy is careful too. He is careful about not being late. He is careful about remembering things. He is careful about making sure I know he loves me. She took another bite of pasta. Maybe you could both be less careful. Then you could be happy instead. Out of the mouths of children, Monica thought. Sometimes they saw more clearly than adults ever could. The invitation came from an unexpected source. Monica was at the hospital when her phone buzzed with an unknown number. She almost did not answer, but something made her pick up. Dr. Charles. This is Margaret Johnson. Vincent's mother. Monica's grip tightened on the phone. Mrs. Johnson. I was not expecting to hear from you. I imagine not. I was hoping we could meet. There are some things I would like to say to you, and I would prefer to say them in person. Every instinct told Monica to refuse. Margaret Johnson was part of Vincent's world, a world that had rejected her once already. What could this woman possibly have to say that would matter? But curiosity won out. When and where? They met at a restaurant Monica chose, somewhere public but quiet. Margaret arrived looking nothing like Monica expected. Warm. Nervous. Her eyes red around the edges as if she had been crying recently. Thank you for meeting me, Margaret said as they settled into a booth. I know I have no right to ask anything of you. Then why did you? Because I owe you an apology. And because I need you to understand something about my son. Monica waited, giving nothing. When Vincent told me about Kyra, when he explained what had happened 5 years ago, I was devastated. Not just because I have a granddaughter I never knew about. But because I realized I was partly responsible for who Vincent became. How so? I raised him to believe that achievement was everything. That success was measured in dollars and acquisitions. That emotions were weaknesses to be managed rather than experiences to be felt. His father was the same way. Vincent learned from both of us that love was conditional, based on performance. That is not an excuse for what he did to me. No. It is not. There is no excuse. But there is an explanation. And the explanation is that when Vincent met you, when he fell in love with you, he did not know how to handle it. You challenged him. You made him feel things he had never felt before. And instead of embracing that, he ran. Margaret's voice cracked. I watched my son spend 5 years being successful and miserable. Dating women who did not matter to him. Building an empire that left him empty. And I did not understand why until he told me about you. Monica felt something shift in her chest. Not forgiveness, not yet. But understanding. He loved you, Margaret continued. I do not think he knew how to say it properly or show it properly, but he loved you. And when he found out about Kyra, when he realized what he had missed, something in him broke open. He is not the same man who walked away from you. I know you have no reason to believe me, but I am asking you to give him a chance to prove it. I have been giving him chances for 5 months. He has not disappointed me yet. Yet. Margaret caught the word. You are still waiting for him to fail. Can you blame me? No. I cannot. But Dr. Charles, I need you to know something. Last month, Vincent's board tried to pressure him into attending a critical overseas meeting. It conflicted with Kyra's school play. He told them, and I quote, "My daughter matters more than your quarterly reports." Monica blinked. He said that? He said that. And then he fired 3 executives who insisted he was being unreasonable. My son, the man who used to sleep in his office rather than miss a meeting, is prioritizing his child over his company. If that is not transformation, I do not know what is. The silence stretched between them. I am not asking you to forgive him, Margaret said softly. I am not asking you to take him back. I am just asking you to see who he is becoming, not just who he was. That is all. She stood, gathering her purse. Thank you for meeting me. And Dr. Charles. For what it is worth. Kyra is the most wonderful child I have ever met. You have done an extraordinary job raising her. Whatever happens between you and Vincent, please know that I am grateful beyond words that you brought her into this world. She left before Monica could respond. That night, Monica sat on her balcony, staring at the stars, thinking about transformation and trust and the terrifying possibility that people could actually change. 6 months after the graduation, Vincent and Monica sat on her balcony after Kyra's bedtime, a glass of wine between them, the city lights twinkling below. It had become routine, these evening conversations. At first, they had been strictly about co-parenting logistics. But gradually, they had evolved into something more. Friendship, perhaps. Or at least the beginning of one. I need to tell you something, Vincent said. And I need you to hear me out before you respond. Monica tensed. That is not exactly a reassuring opening. I know. But please. Just listen. He set down his glass and turned to face her. I had a speech prepared. Multiple drafts, actually. My assistant was very confused about why I kept revising a personal document. But now that I am sitting here, all those carefully crafted sentences seem wrong. So say it simply. Okay. He took a breath. I am in love with you. Monica did not move. I never stopped being in love with you, Vincent continued. Not for one day in 5 years. I was just too stupid and scared to admit it. And I am not telling you this because I expect anything. I know I have not earned the right to expect anything. I am telling you because it is true, and I am trying to be the kind of person who tells the truth even when it is terrifying. Vincent. I know you do not trust me. I know you have every reason to keep your walls up. I know that one conversation, one confession, does not undo years of hurt. Vincent. But I also know that I am not going to stop fighting for this. Not for us, necessarily. If you decide you never want to be with me again, I will accept that. But I am not going to stop showing up for Kyra. I am not going to stop being the father I should have been from the beginning. And I am not going to stop hoping that maybe, someday, you might be able to see me as something other than the man who hurt you. Monica was quiet for a long moment. Are you done? I think so. Yes. She stared at the city lights. I have spent 5 years teaching myself not to need anyone. I built a life, a career, a family that was complete without you. I did that on purpose. Because needing someone meant being vulnerable. And being vulnerable meant being hurt. I understand. But the thing is, Monica continued slowly, I have been watching you for 6 months. Watching you show up. Watching you prioritize Kyra over everything. Watching you become someone I almost do not recognize. Almost? You still do that thing where you check your phone when you think no one is looking. But you are getting better at catching yourself. Vincent actually laughed. Old habits. The point is, Monica said, turning to face him, I have been waiting for you to disappoint me. Waiting for the other shoe to drop. Waiting for the real Vincent to appear and prove that all of this was just an elaborate performance. And you have not disappointed me. Not once. Not in 6 months. The words hung between them like a bridge waiting to be crossed. I am terrified, Monica admitted. Of letting you in. Of trusting this version of you. Of finding out that the man you have become is just a phase. I am terrified too. Of not being good enough. Of messing this up. Of hurting you again without meaning to. So what do we do? Vincent reached across the space between them and took her hand. She did not pull away. We take it slow. We build something new. Not based on who we were, but on who we are becoming. And if I ever start to fail, if I ever start to slip back into old patterns, you call me out. No silence, no assumptions. Just honesty. And if it does not work? Then at least we tried. At least we gave ourselves the chance. Monica looked at their joined hands. His touch was familiar and foreign at the same time. The same hands that had once held her, that had once walked away, that now spent hours pushing their daughter on swings and braiding her hair for ballet class. Okay, she said softly. Slow. Honest. No assumptions. Is that a yes? It is a maybe. She allowed herself the smallest smile. But it is a hopeful maybe. The months that followed were a careful dance. They did not rush. Did not force anything. Let the relationship between them grow at its own pace, rooted in the foundation they were building as co-parents first. They had dinners together as a family. They attended Kyra's events side by side. They talked on the balcony after bedtime, about everything and nothing, learning each other again. Vincent continued to show up. Every promise kept. Every commitment honored. Slowly, the walls Monica had built began to have doors. 1 year after the graduation, they stood together at a different ceremony. Monica was receiving an award for her research on pediatric neurosurgery, the culmination of years of work. In the audience, Vincent held Kyra on his lap. Helen sat beside them. Margaret had flown in from New York. When Monica's name was called, Kyra's voice rang through the auditorium. That is my mommy. She is a brain doctor. The audience laughed. Monica caught Vincent's eye across the room. He was crying. Not from shock this time. From pride. After the ceremony, they walked together as a family. Kyra between them, holding both their hands, chattering about how she wanted to be a brain doctor princess when she grew up. Mommy, Kyra said suddenly, remember when Daddy did not know me? I remember, baby. And now he is going to marry you and we are going to be a real family. Monica stopped walking. Who told you that? Daddy showed me the ring. He said he was going to ask you but I should not tell. Vincent's face went bright red. Kyra. That was supposed to be a secret. But secrets are hard. I am only 5. Monica looked at Vincent, who was fumbling in his pocket, all his carefully planned romantic gestures crumbling under the weight of a 5-year-old's enthusiasm. I was going to do this properly, he said. Dinner. Flowers. A speech. You have given enough speeches. He pulled out the ring. Simple, elegant, nothing like the ostentatious diamond he had given Kayla. This was my grandmother's. It is about family, not money. About history, not status. He held it out to her. Monica Charles. You do not need me. You have proven that 100 times over. You are complete on your own, successful on your own, extraordinary on your own. But I love you. I have always loved you, even when I was too broken to show it. And if you will have me, I will spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you. Monica looked at the ring. At Vincent. At Kyra, bouncing with excitement beside them. At Helen and Margaret, watching from a distance with matching expressions of hope. She thought about the parking garage moment, the anger that had saved her, the walls that had protected her. And she thought about what was on the other side of those walls. Not the man who had hurt her. But the man who had learned. The man who had changed. The man who had proven, day after day, that second chances were possible if you were willing to do the work. Yes, she said. Kyra cheered so loudly that strangers turned to stare. Vincent slid the ring onto Monica's finger with shaking hands. I love you, he said. I love you too. Again. Still. She kissed him, and it felt like coming home. They got married 3 months later in a small ceremony filled with people who had witnessed their journey. Dr. James Patterson was the best man. Helen gave Monica away. Margaret cried through the entire ceremony. And Kyra served as flower girl, scattering petals with so much enthusiasm that everyone was still finding them weeks later. The story did not end there because real stories never truly end. They continued to navigate the challenges of blended lives, the complexities of careers and parenting, the daily choices that built trust or eroded it. But they navigated it together. And that made all the difference. Some stories end with happily ever after. This one ends with something better. Happily because of the work. Because 2 people chose to be braver than their fears. Because a child who lost her father found him again. Because sometimes the people who hurt us the most become the people who love us the best, if we are brave enough to let them try. If this story moved you, if it made you believe in second chances, in fighting for what matters, in building something beautiful from broken pieces, I need you to do something right now. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who is struggling to trust again. Someone who is wondering if people can really change. Someone who needs to know that their worth is not determined by who stays or leaves. Subscribe to Mr. Dawson Stories if you believe in messy, complicated, real stories about real people fighting for love. Turn on notifications so you never miss another story about survival and redemption. And remember this. It is never too late to become who you were meant to be. Never too late to fight for what you love. Never too late to come home. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. The best stories are still being written, and yours is one of them.